Welcome to Oiler Wrap Up. Tim Montgomery here, pleased to be joined by Oiler head men's basketball coach Charlie Ernst as they come off of their crossover weekend with the GLVC. And Coach, 1-1 on it, and we'll get into each of those games here in this. But talk about the logistics of this. I mean, I know in some ways you like it because you get to see two quality opponents right away. You kind of get your team secluded. You start to find out who you are as a team, but it also presents its own challenge.
Well, it sure does. I think there's the good far outweighs any negatives. Negatives are it's a long way from home, and so it requires a couple days away, a couple nights in a hotel, a couple days of missed classes. But that's sort of college sports and college athletics. And it's nice to play teams in some ways a long way away, because if they go on and have good seasons, a lot of times, their non-conference games, meaning Quincy and Truman's, are schools that we don't play, and a lot of people in our conference don't play. So if they have good seasons, it's usually because they've beaten teams in the MIAA and in some of those further west conferences. So that's one of the benefits. Sometimes when you play GLVC schools closer to home, when you benefit, so do other teams in your league, because maybe they've played them as well. So, it's I think it's a neat thing in Division II. I explain it to maybe people that aren't as familiar with Division II. It's kind of like playing in the ACC Big Ten Challenge in your first two games. And you do learn a lot about yourself. But certainly we all have a lot still to learn about our teams as well.
Well, let's get into the games, Coach. Let's start with the opener on Friday. Truman State, really a tale of two halves, if you will. That first half, you guys got off to a little bit of a slow start.
Boy, we sure did. And our guys, I think, both games were ready to play. I thought we were well prepared. I thought we've had good energy, really good energy, really. And, sports and specifically basketball are funny sports. And if you don't put the ball in the hole, no matter how ready you are to play, it starts to have an impact. And our opponents made enough, and we dug ourselves a big hole, and then we got real stagnant on offense. Fortunately, the last 4 minutes of the second half, I thought we made a couple shots, and then we got some momentum. So even though we went to the half down double digits, I think we actually felt pretty good about ourselves, and the end of the first half ended up being crucial to our comeback in the second half.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. As you said, shooting a little bit of the story for the whole weekend for you guys there. And I tell the story all the time. Former Findlay High School head basketball coach Roger Renzo always used to say it's a simple game. You put the ball in the hole, you win. If you don't, you won't.
That's true. I mean, when you shoot the ball well, a lot of things look good. And when you don't, you start to think your mind takes you to bad places, quite honestly. And I think it was a combination. It wasn't just that we weren't shooting well. It's that I don't think that we were executing our offense very well either. We kind of found ourselves standing around and tried to make too many one-on-one plays, and teams are just too good to do that against. You got to be able to run your offense. You got to be able to find guys that have a hot hand. You got to have inside out. You can't rely on one thing. And, so it was a combination of things. But I think early in the game, like in the first, let's say first immediate, which is the first 4 minutes of the game, both games, we missed open shots and our opponents made them.
Well, let's talk about that second half. You guys get a spark, and your freshman, one of your freshmen, I should say, because you have several of them on this roster, really kind of stepped up to the moment and had a big night in Will Aljancic.
Yeah, it was an incredible night, to be quite honest with you. It's interesting. A year ago, we played Quincy at Cedarville, and we had two freshmen up in that game, Leo Luster and Jagger Lander. Tonight, deja vu, we had Truman in this game, but Will Aljancic was spectacular in the second half of this game. I mean, he was knocking down shots from all over the place. Of course, he's a kid that plays with tremendous energy. I think he's one of the best offensive rebounders we've ever had at Finley, and I've said that since day one. He does it every possession of practice. His effort is just tremendous. So I thought he made some hustle plays in the first half, knocked down a three in the first half, and then he just caught absolute fire in the second half. And to our players' credit, we started to look for him, and it was really quite a performance. And then I thought that combination of him, and then we started to find Nate inside. We started to run our playbook through Nate as well on the block. They had a hard time stopping him, and that 1-2 punch, allowed the execution of our offense to flow so much better. And it was a really nice win for us.
82-69, the final. Let's talk about the Quincy matchup the next day. And again, as you pointed out, slow start. What was the conversation, though? You guys made a little run back at the end of that first half. What was the conversation in the locker room at the half there, Coach?
Felt like that they were close on the athletic. They'll be in the upper echelon of athletic teams that we play on. And we do that coming in. So we needed to get the ball into the paint some. We weren't going to live and die from it there, but when you're getting pressured like that on the perimeter, you've got to be able to get the ball inside and try to score either by post entries and post isolations, but maybe offensive rebounds. And we had to get the pace of the game, maybe going slightly better in order with our defense. Well, I thought the last 25 minutes of the game against Truman, we were really good on defense, and really the entire game against Quincy. They turned a lot of our live ball turnovers into breakaways. If you remove those, they had a really hard time scoring consistently against us. But, we struggled to take care of the ball. So at halftime of the Quincy game, we really talked about two things. We got to take care of the ball. They took advantage of us there. And then I think establishing ourselves more consistently inside.
Well, you mentioned Nate Bruns in the first game, and again in the second game, 14 points for him. And you can't say enough about experience and leadership and having been there before. And certainly when you're talking about Nate and Joey and some of your other guys, that can be powerful as well.
It's the key, no doubt about it. I mean, we've got some talented freshmen and sophomores. We really do. We're really excited about those guys. And they all had their moments, and so that was good to see. But all of that being said, if you're going to go that far away from home and have some success, it usually takes it happening with guys that have been there and done that. And Nate plays with a tremendous amount of confidence. He wants the ball. He wants to be in there in the big moment. He's an emotional leader in the locker room, emotional leader in the hotel in preparation. He and Joey have done a much better job of leading this year. We had some tough moments in both games, but I thought, unlike a year ago, they both may have panicked emotionally, and I thought they both stayed the course. And, I think they're starting to reap those benefits. I thought the way we kind of came back against Truman, they deserve some credit for that. And I think at times yesterday against Quincy, when things weren't going well, I thought they did a good job of staying the course as well. But that comes from experience. So there's the actual production on the floor of our veterans, but then there's also the preparation and the sticking to the game plan, even when you're down, say, double digits. It sometimes is easy to hit the panic button, but I didn't think we did. And I think those veterans, specifically Nate and Joey, deserve a lot of credit for that.
As we said, you finish at 1-1, and certainly nothing to hang your head about there. What do you feel, Coach, is the biggest thing you guys took as a team away from the weekend?
Well, I think kind of what we do well. I think our confidence on defense is at a pretty good place right now. Again, we played two pretty good offensive teams. In fact, Truman came back and knocked off Cedarville on Saturday and dropped 86 on Cedarville. And of course, Quincy's, they're an interesting team. If they can defend all year like that, they're going to probably do to other teams what they did to us and be able to turn them over. And, so I think that we played two quality teams, defended both of them, I thought, very well. We got some versatility there. I thought our perimeter defense with our combination of 6 different guards, I thought we got some really good defensive play. I thought our guards really played well. I think for us, really, I think to take it to the next level, we have to continue to find ways to take best advantage of our bigs. We have to find ways to be more consistent offensively throughout our roster. We relied on Nate quite a bit when we needed buckets, which we'll continue to do. But the best teams and the more video that's out there, teams are going to load up on him. We have to be able to continue to develop other opportunities for other guys. We've got a lot of good players, and we'll find that so that it's a lot more difficult to load up on him. One-on-one on the block, he's a load to stop down there. And but if we don't continue to evolve there, teams can take that away.
Well, that opened up the season for you guys. You'll open up the home part of the season this coming Saturday. Familiar foe comes in, Ferris State. What can you tell us about the Bulldogs?
Yeah, Ferris State is Ferris State. They've got athletes. They've got, I think the one thing they've really done a good job of, and changed maybe a little bit, is that they've upgraded their shooting. They've got a couple really, really good shooters, as good as shooters as we'll play against all year. And so this will be a big-time challenge for our perimeter defenders. But I think we're coming off of playing some teams that should prep us for that. I think it's both Quincy and Truman's strength is their perimeter, and Toledo's strength was their perimeter. So, we're kind of facing something that we've seen quite a bit of, and I'll be challenging our guards all week long to do the job. We've got a lot of them. We're gonna play our bench, which we've done. So that'll be a big challenge for us, and always containing them in transition and rebounding. Those are always keys against Ferris. Andy Bronkmother, head coach, he does a really good job of teaching their system, and it's been a great rivalry between us and them over the years. It's a non-conference game, but in some ways it feels like a conference game.
All right, Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. We'll look forward to the Saturday matchup.
Thanks a lot, Tim. I appreciate it.
All right, you've been listening to Oiler Wrap Up, a service of University of Findlay Athletics.